Hey folks, welcome back for another build video where we are looking at pairing the Sweet Dreams exotic shotgun with the Persistence multi-zone passive modifier, which specifically, when eliminating an enemy in short range, grants you plus 20% movement speed. So for anyone unaware, the Sweet Dreams exotic shotgun comes with the Sandman. Talent, in which melee attacks instantly kill non-elite enemies, and the cooldown for that is 15 seconds. So understandably, you're going to need to run around to get these melee kills, and something that helps keep you alive while you're running around is some additional movement speed, which can be granted by a number of different ways, but specifically for this build, we're looking at that Persistence passive modifier, where kills within short range, including melee kills, gives you plus 20% movement speed. And make no mistake about it, this build also does a lot of work between the assault turret and the striker drone skills. And any longtime viewers of the channel will potentially recognize this build as an updated version of the Squishy's Revenge build that we will link in the description below for anyone who wants to see the full reasoning behind why we picked some of those pieces in the past. But given the addition of modifiers and the nerf to the Scorpio shotgun, we wanted to revisit this build with a little bit of an update and add the Sweet Dreams to give this build a little more melee bite. So getting into this one, we've gone with the Technician specialization for all the same reasons as we did previously. Most notably, the amped talent gives us +1 skill tier, which increases the overall damage and survivability of both our drone and turret. As we just spoke about, for our primary weapon, we've gone with the Sweet Dreams exotic shotgun, which comes with the Sandman talent. Melee attacks instantly kill non-elite enemies. And the cooldown for that is 15 seconds. So while you can't just run around and tag all of the non-elite enemies instantly, it is a really great talent for a build like this where you have a lot of armor, a lot of survivability, and on top of that, if you have any rushers that come towards you that are non-elite, you can instantly kill them with a melee attack if they get too close. For a secondary weapon, we have the Test Subject high-end assault rifle, which comes with the Perfectly in Sync talent, and without reading the whole thing verbatim, what that does is increase both your skill and weapon damage as long as you're hitting targets with both your weapon and your skill. And then for our sidearm, no change here. We have the TDI card custom, again, for that +1 skill tier. As we go through this build, you'll see we're sitting at 5 skill tiers when we're using either our primary or secondary weapons. So if you do want to increase your skill tiers to the maximum of 6, what you can do is swap to your sidearm. Both your drone and your turret will instantly get that 6th skill tier, increasing their damage output. And then for situations where you want to be using your primary or secondary, you'll just drop back down to 5 skill tiers. For a mask, we have our one piece of Bellstone Armory, giving us +1% armor regen. And then in our secondary attribute slots, we have skill damage and armor regen. And then we've gone with skill haste in our mod slot, primarily to reduce the cooldown time of both of our skills, increase our survivability, and increase the damage output of both the drone and the turret. And that is consistent across all of the pieces of gear here. We'll go with skill damage and armor regen where possible, and skill haste in all 3 of the mod slot equipped pieces. For our backpack, we've gone with the Memento, which of course comes with the Kill Confirmed talent. Enemies you kill drop a trophy on death, and collecting trophies provides both a short and long-term buff that you can read for yourself down there. But again, the primary mechanic here is enemies are going to drop trophies that you need to run around and pick up. Very critically, one of those trophy bonuses is +10% bonus armor, which is a short-term buff. But it does allow you to run around and stay out there. And again, between the Sweet Dreams, instant melee kills, and the +20% movement speed from your passive modifier, you're going to be able to run around and pick those up really quickly and then get back into cover if you need to, and let your turret and your drone do a lot of the damage output work on this build. For chest, we have Wyvern Wear, giving us +8% skill damage. Notice that is a nerf from the previous version of this build, where Wyvern used to give +10% skill damage. And then again here in the attribute slots, we have skill damage, armor regen, and skill haste. And then on our chest here, we have Kinetic Momentum. When in combat, each skill generates a stack while active or not on cooldown. So again, skill haste decreasing our cooldowns helps increase the effectiveness of kinetic momentum. And on top of that, the long durations of both the turret and the drone lend themselves really well to the kinetic momentum talent, because as you can see down there, stacks increase your total skill damage by 1.5%, which is an increase from the previous version of this talent, up to a max of 15 stacks per skill. So what that means is if both of your stacks are at maximum for your turret and your drone, you can get an additional 45% skill damage while kinetic momentum is at maximum stacks. And then for our gloves, we have our first of two pieces of Brazos de Arquebus. The first piece here gives us plus 10% skill haste, again, helps reduce that cooldown. And then here in the secondary attribute slots, armor regen and skill damage again. And for our holster, we have Picaro's holster, our second piece of Brazos de Arquebus, giving us that +1 skill tier, on top of which we get the unique secondary attribute of 10% weapon damage, which is a decrease from the previous version of this set, which used to give 15% weapon damage, but now only gives 10%. And then for our re-rollable secondary attribute there, we've gone with skill damage here, again, to increase the effectiveness of both our turret and drone. And then last but certainly not least, we have Emperor's Guard in our Kneepad slot, Murakami Industries one-piece brand bonus, giving us 15% skill duration to keep both those skills out even longer. And then on top of that, we have a core attribute of a skill tier, giving us our 5 total for this build. And then secondary attributes of skill damage, and then the unique secondary attribute for Emperor's Guard is plus 1% armor regen, which is boosted by the fact that we have 4 armor cores on this build. And then for our skills here, we have the assault turret and the striker drone. I won't go into each one of them individually. If you want to talk about that, look at the video in the description below. But suffice to say, both of these together put down a scary amount of skill damage output, on top of which they will grab the attention of enemies, which allows you to run around and either melee kill non-elite targets or grab all of those trophies that your drone and turret are putting down for you. All of it combined is just a really fun build to be able to go out and play with. For this build, we've gone with the passive modifiers of Drawback, Quicken, and Persistence. The Drawback short range modifier increases weapon handling by 50% of your headshot damage while there are enemies within short range. And a reminder here that weapon handling is a roll-up attribute of stability, accuracy, reload speed, and weapon swap speed, where 1% weapon handling gives you 1% of each of those 4 attributes. For our second passive modifier, we've gone with Quicken, which is a medium range modifier. Every critical hit on an enemy within medium range reduces active skill cooldowns by 3%. So even though we haven't built into critical hit damage on this build, getting critical hits on an enemy will reduce the active cooldowns, reducing the overall downtime of our skills, which allows us to get them out that much faster. And then our primary focus of this build with the modifier selection, we have the multi-zone passive modifier of Persistence, where eliminating enemies at any range grants one of the following buffs for 5 seconds. And specifically here, we're looking at the short range buff of plus 20% movement speed. The medium and long range accuracy and reload speed are nice to have on occasion, but primarily you're going to want to target that short range bonus where you can either shoot an enemy or, more often with this build, melee attack and kill instantly a non-elite enemy, which will give you plus 20% movement speed for 5 seconds, allowing you to either get back into cover or get over to one of those trophies that you need to collect, or just generally allow you to move around the battle space a little faster than you otherwise would. So take this one out, give it a try, let us know what you think of it in the comments below. Again, let me know what your thoughts and feelings are with all of the global modifiers and the major changes that came with Title Update 22. Really curious to hear your feedback, both on the game at large and also what you think of us including the modifiers in our build videos. Let us know if you want more of that, less of that, anything in between. As always, like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you want to see more stuff like this, and please feel free to share the video with your friends, tell them about the channel so you can continue to help us grow and make videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.
Notes from months of prisoner interrogations. The information stored on a military-grade laptop, kept in the main holding area downstairs. first priority is to release the prisoners to keep the True Sons busy. You'll be looking for some kind of security terminal. The security terminal should be somewhere nearby. Look around. Picked up on camera again. The holding area...
Trying to break through!
What the hell is going on here? Put these fuckers down!
Damn you, Division! You want to see what I can do? Enemy drone in the air! Get that thing off of me!
Incoming hostiles detected.